So self-care is not numbing out. And that is something that a lot of us, myself included, have mistakenly thought was self-care. Like, oh, I've just been so busy the past few days. I really just need to, stay on my couch alone for like 2 days and just eat like a bucket of ice cream with some wine and just like binge watch Netflix. That is actually not self-care. Hey there, lovely light seekers. This is Genevieve, the practical intuitive healer. Every time I say that intro, it gets a little bit more interesting every time. So maybe in a different intro, maybe that's what's going on here. I don't know, we'll see. For now, we're just gonna keep rolling with it. So today's video is about the just entire topic of self-care, mostly what it is and what it isn't, because self-care has become an extremely popular hot topic. We all love throwing it around. We all love using it as an excuse to get out of stuff. Self-care. I don't want you to do self-care. I can't do that, or I need to take care of myself. Bob even uses that. No, he doesn't use that. I wanted to make a video that addresses what exactly self-care is and what it isn't, because I would like to believe that most of the time, even if we're using self-care as an excuse to get out of something or not do something, we usually genuinely believe that we do need to do some self-care action, but sometimes we are totally misunderstanding what it actually is in terms of the need that our self needs. So first, let's just talk about what self-care is as opposed to what it isn't, because even just what it is can be confusing. What self-care is having a need and meeting it within yourself. It's as simple as that. But it's also a lot about being really honest with yourself in terms of what's actually happening in your life and what is the actual need that needs to be met. And that's what I mean when I say that sometimes we're confused about, like, we know we need some sort of self-care and that we're feeling off, but sometimes we don't actually know what it is that we need. And a lot of the times we'll actually perpetuate the self-harm by doing something that's not actually helpful for us, instead of meeting the need. So when you are engaging in self-care, what you're doing is being really honest with yourself about exactly where you are in this moment of your life, and then finding a way to meet whatever need is lacking in you. Self-care is about bringing yourself up when you have been brought down a little bit, in whatever way that might be. So broad, I know, right? Because it could be all kinds of things could make us need some self-care. But in terms of what self-care isn't, that's where we can get a little more specific. So self-care is not numbing out. And that is something that a lot of us, myself included, have mistakenly thought was self-care. Like, oh, I've just been so busy the past few days. I really just need to, stay on my couch alone for like 2 days and just eat like a bucket of ice cream with some wine and just like binge watch Netflix. That is actually not self-care. I am so sorry to break that to you, because it is an activity that we enjoy, still enjoy it sometimes, but it's not, I cannot call that self-care. That would be wrong, because what that really is it's numbing out. So that's me being like, oh my gosh, I have this need. I'm feeling drained, I'm feeling run down. And instead of actually meeting the need, I am running away from myself. I'm saying, okay, I can't even handle that need. Like, I just can't even handle how just out of sorts I feel. What I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna like totally shut out the world, shut out myself, numb out with some pizza and whatever. So not self-care, but that can be a super common thing to do. Anyway. So you're probably asking yourself, well, what else am I supposed to do when I am tired and I hate people and I just don't want it anymore? I just cannot. So what you need to do instead is find ways to reconnect. A lot of the time we think that by shutting down and avoiding and just going into isolation mode is a way to help ourselves. What we actually need in the times that we're most depleted is reconnection energy. And depending on who you are, because it really can change depending on who you are, that activity will look a little bit different. So I will say there are definitely introverts out there. I am one of them. I am definitely a natural introvert. That's my default. And sometimes we do need alone time to recharge. But this is what healthy introvert alone time looks like. It looks like a walk in nature. It looks like a 30-minute going out into the woods or something, like sitting by a stream and journaling or something. That is amazing introvert reconnection behavior. If you are not an introvert, reconnection behavior can look like calling someone that you love and trust and just being really open and honest about your feelings. And you can start the conversation by saying, hey, I'm just really needing to just get some stuff off my chest right now. Are you available to just listen to me, just talk? And usually if it's someone that you are really close with and who totally gets you, they will allow you the space to do that. So those are great examples of self-care. So self-care also, it usually doesn't take as long as we think it does, because a lot of the time, like I said, we'll hole up in our isolation mode for like days, or even a few hours. We don't need a few hours. I'm sorry to tell that to you, but even a few hours, if you have cut yourself off for that long, there is something much deeper going on inside of you that wants some attention. And the longer you're drawing out the isolation or the cut-offness, the more that need is actually going to go unaddressed. And the more the need goes unaddressed, the more addictive the isolation and the numbing out will become. So this is where we start seeing like real addictive behaviors come into play. People who struggle with alcoholism, people who overeat, people who just do whatever that can be done over and over again, binging stuff. Although I'd say usually the binging TV usually comes tandem with something else, but it's a slippery slope into these behaviors. And I just know from my own personal story that it's faster to fall into these addictive, avoidant behaviors than we think. And so that's why I'm making this video. Excuse me. That's why I'm making this video, so that we can try to help ourselves before we get so caught up into the avoidant numbing behavior that we don't even know like what else to do. So, Bub, do you have anything to say? What do you do for self-care? This is what Bub does for self-care. I don't know if you can see that. You probably can't, but he asked for more pets with his little face nudging. So, in a nutshell, that's pretty much it. When you really need to address your own needs and do some self-care, it's usually an activity that involves some sort of reconnection with yourself, not a running away from yourself. It also is usually an activity that doesn't need to take hours and hours or days. If you're doing something for hours and hours or days, you are probably doing avoidant behavior and not self-care behavior. If you are canceling plans so that you can stay in and binge on wine and TV, you are not engaging in self-care behavior. And it's so easy to tell ourselves that we are like, oh, I'm just tired, I need to stay in. But really what you need is reconnection. And if you're canceling plans, it kind of depends on who you're canceling on. If it's someone you don't know very well and you're not really sure if you can be your full, beautiful, crazy self with them, maybe it would make sense if you're in a really weird place that you might cancel. But I'm not an advocate of canceling last minute. I think we should stick to our commitments. But if it's people that you really know and you wanted to do whatever that is you're about to do initially, and now all of a sudden you want to cancel last minute, there's definitely something deeper going on inside of you that's like this fear of connection. And so you're running towards the avoidant behavior because you are afraid of the connection that you actually need to feel better. And that's why I'm such an advocate of not canceling last minute on things like that, because usually if you just go, you'll feel a lot better. Anyway, so these videos, they always get longer than I thought they would. But that is pretty much it in terms of what self-care is and what self-care isn't. There are obviously a lot of other like specific examples we could go into about each thing, but in general, I think you get the point. So let me know what you thought of the video. Thumbs up. Please leave a comment. I don't get any comments, dudes. None. And I need some. I also need some subscribers. So just jump on that, okay?